So the Enneagram is a test you can take. It's a little bit.
It's like a personality type test.
It's a little bit better than your standard. I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert.
INFJ or whatever. That one's complicated to me too, and that one takes forever to take the test.
There's so many different terms for people, and we're all different. So there's no perfect match, but it tells you. It's just probably take a 5-minute quiz. And then it tells you exactly what you are. The Enneagram is a system of personality types that describes patterns in how people conceptualize the world and manage their emotions. Which, folks, this is what we're talking about here. If you knew, like Tasha, if your parents knew what personality type you were, they wouldn't be not that they're saying they were locking you in your room, but they would. You know what I mean? If you have a child,
you can tailor your approach to your child's needs. Or you can tailor your approach to your loved one's needs, however that goes. Knowing each other's type, I think, can help you. It's just another way to assess.
Yeah, and it seems pretty accurate. So let's go into.
Let's do yours first.
You want to do mine?
Yeah.
I don't remember which one's mine. Hold on, I saved mine in a thing called Dave's results. So my results, I am a 98% match for personality 7 and a 98% match for personality 3. But it told me that I'm mainly personality 3. Type 3 is also known as the achiever. 3s want to be successful and admired by other people and are very conscious of their public image.
Hold on. I was too busy thinking about 7 is the same as Jamie's.
Oh, okay,
7
yeah.
is, right? It's called the individualist. What is it called?
No, 7. Hold on, I just deleted it. So 7, you're right. Jamie and I are both a 7. Type 7 is described as the enthusiast. 7s want to have as much fun and adventure as possible and are easily bored. So if you want to take this to me, I want to achieve while having as much fun as possible. So share the podcast with your friends.
Do you find yourself easily bored?
Well, that's what's weird is I don't find myself easily bored. I love creating. I used to love being a kid with Legos and being by myself. So I can relate to being editing for hours by myself. But I also know that the final product will be sharing my creation, which leads to love.
Maybe if you weren't so in touch with your creative self, maybe if you weren't so driven, then you would find yourself easily bored. But I think because you are very much like a self-starter, and you know what your creative goals are and you just get after them, that prevents you from that feeling of boredom.
And okay. Well, I was going to say with this as the achiever, it kind of sounds like you can see
that's type 3, the achiever.
Yes, you could see.
Can you reread that description for me?
Type 3 is known as the achiever. 3s want to be successful and admired by other people and are very conscious of their public image. And I'll read a little bit deeper into it. Now, in that every number comes with the pros and the cons. So you could be the achiever, but then also Harvey Weinstein. You can be the megalomaniac, the crazy person who achieves and the ego is inflamed. And don't get me wrong.
Well, you could be like a Slytherin.
Well, I don't know Harry Potter, but feel free.
But you could be, they're like about like success at all costs. They don't.
Sure.
They don't care about like the sort of destruction that they leave behind. They just want to follow their own goals, win, whatever. I'm
going to go in a little deeper with this and we'll get to yours. The basic fear of the 3 is being worthless, which honestly, I don't know if I fear being worthless, but and the basic desire is to feel valuable and worthwhile. I do want to feel valuable. In Enneagram 3 with 2 wing is the charmer. Key motivations: want to be affirmed. I mean, that's my love language, is affirmation. I want to be affirmed. I don't want to just make the YouTube vlog. I want someone to comment saying, "Hey, fucking awesome. This is good." I mean, that's simple. I would never create anything. That's why for me, stand-up holds no value in these Zoom shows. A stand-up with no audience to me it doesn't, I don't get the reward. I don't want to do it. I don't care. They want to be affirmed. They want to distinguish themselves from others, to have attention, to be admired, and to impress others. That is called an applause break from the audience. You want to impress others. Okay. When moving in their direction of disintegration, which is stress, 3s suddenly become disengaged and apathetic at 9. When someone like me is stressed, they suddenly become disengaged and apathetic to a 9. However, when moving in their direction of integration, which is growth, vain, deceitful 3s become more cooperative and committed to others, like healthy 6s. So basically, you got to know what makes you valuable, but also know what can make you a problem person. Like I have, by being so focused, the stress of not achieving my own acceptance, the stress of not achieving, being able to impress others, the stress of not being where I want to be can lead to negative feelings to other people. Interesting. And you said number 9 is one of yours.
Yeah, I think I was a 4, 5, and 9, but I'm not positive. You'll have to bring up my results.
I'm going to bring up your results right now, baby. Here we go. Here are Tasha's results. You are, your top results are, your top match is a 4. You've also got a pretty high match with 6 and 9, but a 4, a type 4,
4, 6.
Tasha Courtney is known as the individualist. 4s want to be unique and to live life authentically and are highly attuned to their emotional experience, which you've labeled in the past as a highly sensitive person. You're highly attuned to your emotional experience and you want to be unique. Does that paint an accurate picture for you?
Well, I would say that I am highly attuned to my emotional experience and that I don't mind being unique. I wouldn't necessarily say that I want to be unique. Sometimes you don't want to be unique at all. Sometimes you wish you would just rather fit in, but I don't mind being unique. I'm okay with being a little weird.
4s tend to see their difference from others as being both a gift and a curse. A gift because it sets them apart from those they perceive as being somehow common. A curse as it so often seems to separate them from the simpler forms of happiness that others so readily seem to enjoy. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, that sounds like exactly what I just said.
4s can manage to feel superior to others, that you do that when you're driving your Prius, while also secretly harboring some degree of longing and envy. Is envy a problem that you have?
Yeah, totally. I try not to give in to that feeling, but I definitely know, I have noticed in myself that I can feel some sort of sense of jealousy or envy to my peers, for sure, especially even close friends. You know, sometimes I see them looking like they've got it all together or just excelling in one section of their life, and I for sure feel feelings of not resentment, but feelings of inadequacy myself. I'll feel feelings of inadequacy in myself when I see my friends really just succeeding, you know.
4s are somewhat melancholic by disposition and under stress tend to lapse into depression. They also tend to be self-absorbed even under the best of circumstances, but when unbalanced, easily give way to a self-indulgence which they perceive as being fully justified as a way to compensate for the general lack of pleasure they experience in their lives. Yikes! Rather than look for practical solutions to their difficulties, 4s are prone to fantasizing about a savior who will rescue them from their unhappiness. You know, I must say, when you do look at a lot of these travel bloggers who seem to have it all because they know how to Photoshop a good photo, and we don't get to see the fact that they fought over which fish taco place to go to for lunch, which is probably every single one of them. You think they're living in a fucking van and they're happy? They haven't shat in days. They haven't wiped their ass. And then you just get to see this beautiful drone shot of them. And Tasha's like, look, we could be like that. And I'm going, and again, I'm not trying to stomp on you, Tasha, but I think this is very interesting to look at. You know, we look for, because I'm the same way, where sometimes we'll fantasize about a savior who will rescue them from their unhappiness. And then what's important for us to remember is we dictate that. We control our happiness.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You're absolutely correct. I think for some people, things come easier, and it's normal to feel a little bit of jealousy when things don't necessarily come easy to you. I remember as early as high school feeling so jealous of people who knew what they wanted to do with their life. It never made... I never had any clear sense of direction or any clear, passions. Those things were not, I never had something that I wanted or needed to do so badly that I could put everything else aside in order to do that thing. So for me, my life's journey has felt like a lot of trial and error because I'm cool with it. I'm cool with just about anything. So I'll give something a try for a while, like it for a while, get bored with it, and then want to try something else.
Which is fair, but I think if you were to poll all of these people in high school that knew what they wanted to do with the rest of their lives, I'm not saying they were being delusional, but we all know that somebody who strongly thinks they know what they want to do, no one does. No one's gonna.
No, but at least having a real guiding light almost. Like if you know you want to be a doctor, you can follow the path to medical school. And even if you decide halfway through it that it's not really your jam, you'll end up in a place that you find equally as fulfilling, like, I don't know, medical engineering or something.
Should we intro each other from now on, the podcast, with our types? Ladies and gentlemen, Tasha Courtney. She's expressive, dramatic, self-absorbed, and temperamental.
Do you think I'm self-absorbed? I feel like that one doesn't really stick. You know what? I feel like sometimes, and this is just a personality flaw, that I will have a hard time listening to others in conversation. You know, like
I can tell when you're toned down, where I'm telling you a story and then like a minute later you go, sorry, what? I'll get whenever I'm telling a story to Tasha and she's I can tell she's not listening. I just start making it about me blowing guys.
I don't.
And then she's
but
like,
I
wait,
don't
what?
think that that's necessarily self-absorbed. I think that's just a little bit of like not necessarily knowing the right things to say,
well,
not
like it's
being
saying,
a great listener. And having like a really engaging conversation that it requires a little more effort.
It's basically saying that you go to a deeper level, internalize a lot of your feelings. Like you go within yourself to like analyze how you're feeling, and to the outside person, it looks like you're not even there. You know what I mean? Like your eyes kind of glaze over, but that's because you're doing the work on the inside. Now, look, I was able to Google, this is good for people in relationships. Fuck, I think this is good for people who have an issue with your mom or, you know, whoever in your life, you know. Don't be afraid to learn a little bit about yourself. But this says, this then tells us how type 3 and type 4 will do together, which we're about 6 years late on this one. But type 3 is me, the achiever. Type 4 is Tasha, the individualist. What each type brings to the relationship. These two types can form something of a complementary relationship, with each bringing important qualities to the relationship that the other generally lacks. Which I've actually said this whenever you're like, Dave, you don't pay attention. You know what? Actually, Raquel, we love you, Raquel. Our friend Raquel Pomplin, past guest, Raquel Pomplin responded as like, because I had mentioned in my vlog that I cut open the blueberries and then didn't realize that there was a resealable thing to them.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that you noticed this because you're a highly sensitive person. And then Raquel responds, she goes, my husband does the same thing. It doesn't mean that she's highly sensitive because she notices it. It means he's not paying attention. And I was like, well, yeah, I understand. Like there are times when I don't pay attention.
Yeah,
now,
you just kind of go through the motions. I think that's the same reason why you don't shut the cabinet doors and you don't shut the drawers all the way.
Let them free,
are,
baby.
Like, doing your thing. And like, well, I've sent you 2 TikToks in the past 2 days that are women saying, if I was my husband for a day, and it's them just like fucking kicking off their shoes and leaving them, pulling their socks off and leaving them, instead of putting the trash in the bin, like putting it right next to the bin,
look,
instead of putting the spoon in the sink, leaving it right next to the sink, pouring their protein powder or their pre-workout and just leaving it all over the sink.
Just a powder of C4. Look,
you with the coffee, you always leave like coffee stains dripping down the cabinets.
Yeah, and look, and again, I'm not saying every single thing I'm going to defend, but I'll say this: with certain personality traits, it's like I don't want to have a child that if they can't remember to do certain things that I yell at them. Like my brother Jack, he's a beautiful mind, but there was a lot of times like if you tell him to do something, I'm like, oh yeah, what? Like he's just not always there, and there is a beautiful thing happening. In my case, I can't tell you what it is, but if
but that almost seems like the self-absorbedness that was in my number. Like you can't just pay a little more attention. You can't just put in that little extra effort to make sure that when you are done with whatever it is you're doing, you've cleaned up your workspace.
Sure. But let's put it the other way. Like let me point you. Like Tasha, you can't just focus a little bit more on the task at hand. Like it's like there's just things you can try your best, but no one's actively.
I focus well on tasks at hand when I'm into them.
Exactly, and I'm not into cutting bags of blueberries. All right. The point is that there is a blessing and a curse to everything. But if we look at the positives, I don't know, my mind floats around. I come up with these crazy ideas. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Part of the creative mind. And I'm not saying you're not creative, but sometimes you're
like a popcorn, and I'm more like straight, like railroad tracks. Like
sure, I'm a firecracker, and you're a flare gun.
I'm a linear, and you're a pop, pop, pop.
So the point is I've said this for a long time, that it's okay that we're different. It's okay that we don't want to be so abrasively different that we start forest fires every second, but let's be different enough that like I can, we can complement each other. So let's go on.
Will you read my second two?
Well, it's gonna tell you more within here. 4s can teach 3s. You're a 4, can teach 3s how to talk about themselves on a deeper level and help acknowledge and process their feelings. I disagree with that assessment of both of us. I think I help you process your feelings way more.
Whoa.
If you're being mad or snappy, I'm always like, what are you feeling? Versus me getting upset.
But don't I challenge you to think a little more critically and dig a little deeper? I would argue that I do.
Okay.
I would argue that I ask you to expand on what are your surface feelings, and I would argue that I challenge you in conversation to dig deeper, just like I said.
Finding the 3's heart's desire is an extremely important area of self-awareness in which 4s can help play a helpful role to the 3's. 4s, Tasha, can bring a sense of style and presentation, rich communication, and sense of refinement. That's it, baby. You're my refiner. I've always said this, like I will till the lands. And you're always complaining that I don't pay attention to the details.
But I'm training you to do it a little better.
But I don't pay attention to the details, but I get so much shit done. I'll do laundry. Will I leave a quilt in the dryer at the place and we lose it? Yes, that will happen once in a while. But the point is that I'm tilling the land and you're the refiner. 3 model, that's me, many of the qualities that 4s would like to develop in themselves. So this says I've got a lot of qualities you would like to develop.
Yeah.
That's something Tasha would never admit without this whole thing I set up.
That's not true at all. I tell you every day how much I admire your work ethic. And I simply don't share that.
3s, me, are well suited at helping 4s, you, gain new skills. 3s can bring a good deal of tact and diplomacy to handling 4s' emotional reactions and their sometimes too sensitive feelings and self-doubts. Wow. What if I just wrote this?
I feel like you did.
You like Google it and you're like, that didn't exist. Well, you know it did.
Should we print that out?
Knowing what to say. Yeah, Can you imagine that, everyone listening, whenever Tasha and I are in a fight and I'm like, I'm just helping you gain an awareness. You'd be like, go fuck yourself. 3s can bring a deal of tact and diplomacy. I am Mr. Diplomacy over here. Let's get, and then knowing what to say and when to say it and what not to say to a 4 can be crucial for building trust in the relationship and avoiding inadvertent episodes when either feels humiliated or embarrassed. 3s can bring a sense of hope and ambition to the relationship, practical goal setting, coaching, and behavior management techniques that help 4s get out of a slump or a period of low energy. 3s can coach 4s on how to get on with practical matters and act professionally despite the shifts in the feelings and self-doubts. Quarantine! I mean, honestly, you've been in the deep end and I've just been throwing rafts at you because you wonder, and I totally understand. You go, how are we going to be able to have kids? How are we going to be able to do this and that? Well, baby, we're setting goals. We're creating. We're kind of like giving our highest frequency of love through the podcast, through whatever we do. We're trying to show that to other people, and we just have to have faith that our best selves is worth a lot more than our mediocre selves. Mediocre Dave with his side. Are you crying? Why are you crying, honey?
No, I'm just. It's very true.
I can tell when Tasha's about to cry, and I saw that. You started crying. I got the camera right on you. All right. Well, this is. I feel your feelings. It's an important thing for any relationship to deeply understand how your partner thinks, how they behave, but also do the work on yourselves. So whenever in the past when I felt embarrassed, which isn't hard because I'm sensitive, if I've like pitched a joke to you and you don't respond, I'll be like, oh, thanks a fucking lot. You know, like, and I'll jab at you, and that's just not the right thing to do. I need to understand that you're not always as expressive and quick with your with certain things as I kind of demand. I do demand a high processing power from you to engage back with me. Especially sometimes I'll have a coffee and I'll be like, let's solve the world's problems, and you're like, hold on, I'm trying to formulate a draft for an Instagram post. So it's important to just find each other where they're at. We'll do a lot more research into all this, but I think that's a good place to start with.
No, I wanted you to read the traits of my secondary too, because they were all above 90%, and I feel like I need to know those because I feel like my number one personality could shift on any given day.
No,
Though
only
this has been very accurate.
6 is your second best. Type 6 is also known as the skeptic. Don't read it. I got it. 6 is a skeptic. They're preoccupied with security, seek safety, and like to be prepared for problems. Yeah, you're a skeptic, which has been which you have admitted has been your biggest problem with keeping a faith that things will work out. Because it's easy for you to say, well, look at all the comics that didn't succeed. Look at all the X, Y's, and Z's. But I come from a place where I go, but look at all those who have made their lives by being authentic and true. And I think your sort of realism.
But a skeptic is going to be the person who's planning and prepping for all scenarios. And sometimes it's hard to have all of that weight on one person's shoulders.
Yeah.
I do feel a lot of pressure from having to be the skeptic and the planner.
My top personality superpower is optimism. I scored a 19 out of 20 on optimism. That's my top power.
Do I have a power?
I don't know if I saved your powers. Oh, you're... What do you think it is?
I don't know.
Your top personality superpower, scoring almost a perfect score, emotion. Your power is emotion.
God. You know, I spent my entire life burying my emotions. No joke. My entire life. It hasn't been until we've been in a relationship that I really started, I don't know, opening up the floodgates.
I picture you, I picture an avalanche.
I mean, it doesn't mean that I didn't feel emotions, but I really worked hard to keep them under wraps and buried because that was just part of my family dynamic.
But honestly, what did it get you?
Fucking nothing.
I mean, is there a survival technique? I mean, maybe keeping things buried makes you survive in the moment, but I would say it's probably not sustainable.
I would argue that it's damaging long term to keep your emotions buried.
I think that's how blockages, and a lot of spiritual people will say, a lot of cancers and things like that, it doesn't always come from things you put into your body. You have lipstick all over you, honey. Yeah, I'm just letting you know. You had it on your teeth earlier, but then it went away. You're good. You're fine now.
You literally, it's the first time you've ever put a single cam on me close up.
Look great.
And I've had fucking lipstick all over my teeth.
You look great, honey.
Chin.
Follow us on YouTube. Tasha's a hot mess. She's emotions, baby.
That's shitty.
What's shitty?
You follow us on YouTube and you're gonna have fucking close-ups of me.
No, you look great. Come on, you look fine. It was a tiny skid mark. You just had a little. Your lipstick looks good. You got a little on your teeth. You got excited. So boy, you should really letting the emotions get. I mean, guys, you're upset over the lipstick. I'm telling you, this thing was right. This was perfectly right.
That's completely separate. You didn't read the third one. I asked you to read.
The third one didn't. Well, the third one didn't really prove my point, so I didn't want to read it. The third one is your number 9, which is almost as high. It's an 89% match. Type 9 is also called the peacemaker. 9s like to keep a low profile and let the people around them set the agenda. I think that's true. Like you want me to set the initiative that we're gonna go to IKEA or
Well,
you want to know that there's
this morning
a plan.
we argued about this that yesterday you just wanted to be on TikTok all day, and I'm not gonna start a fight about it. If you want to be on TikTok all day, be on TikTok all day. I don't care. But I am harboring resentment that these projects that we've been talking about that are my priority are something that you're willing to just let slide forever and ever. But your projects are always going to be.
The table's a perfect example.
I mean, you literally woke up this morning and told me we needed to have a production meeting about the podcast today, versus yesterday's approach to what was a free day for us to work on my tasks.
Now, I don't know how to perfectly fit that into our personality traits, but what I do recognize is your need for refinement, and I'm not good at that. So we need to help each other get these home improvement projects to the finish line. I'm good at the 99% of the painting. I am not good at, and it doesn't mean I shouldn't do it, but I am not good at the final touches because I'm just so excited I got most of it done. So that's what we need to work on. Well, that's good. It's good that we know what we're not good at. So don't hate me for not being good at it. Work with me. That's the key, folks, is don't resent the other person for what they're not good at. Maybe resent them if they're not trying to grow. But I'd like to think we're both actively trying to grow. I don't think you want to feel your emotions in a negative way. I also think I need to know to let you feel your emotions.